All right, it is 11:30 a.m. Montreal time, some time zone. Can I ask somebody in the back to close the door? Thank you so much. Welcome to the Secure Shell Maintenance Group. That's us, right? Yeah, that's us. All right. Did everybody pick up the new list of approved passwords at the door?
He just typed his password wrong.
I would like to ask everybody to scan the QR codes hanging off the microphones and I guess appearing somewhere here and there from time to time. Our agenda for today is to go over some resources, the note well, and then we can go over the current list of active internet drafts, and with the IESG and related internet drafts. And we don't have specific presentations scheduled for today, but we'll wing it, as it's called.
So yeah, so if basically we'll just be going through the list of drafts and dealing with any issues arising. So if you have any issues to rise, please tee them up.
There's two resources I would like to point everybody to. One is our mailing list, and one is the chat room, which I will join. You're in the chat room?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And these links are clickable. Our note well. We have a few guiding principles. Principle one is that we strive to be excellent towards each other. So no arguments based on the person, but let's argue based on facts and technical interpretation. Anything you contribute in this session is going to be considered a IETF contribution. I recommend reading the RFCs when you have a bit of spare time on what that exactly means. And if you have any questions about proceedings, please reach out to us directly or via email, and we'll be happy to point you to the appropriate guidelines and policies. So, welcome to Montreal. This photo was taken the day before yesterday in the old port, and this has no bearing whatsoever on SSH. All right. We have two drafts that have left the working group and are now in a better place.
Probably the first time they've heard that.
So NTRU Prime is with the RFC editor. I checked this morning, and this means that they're putting the dots on the I's and crossing the T's and making sure there's no spelling errors. So I expect publication to happen somewhere in the next few weeks. And we have the SSH agent draft, and
That's IETF last call.
right,
Ending
and
this next week.
use
Yeah.
right.
11th.
So that's gonna be on the telechat end of the month, maybe.
So, depending on what comments you get.
Use the microphone, please. Yeah. And state your name and affiliation and hidden affiliation.
So
and
I'm
corporate
Deb
sponsors.
Cooley. I have no affiliation, but I am your SecAD. So that agent protocol draft is in IETF last call. I think he's gotten comments from Tiro. I don't know whether he's gotten comments from anybody else. So depending on how quickly he resolves the comments, there will be review comments too. We may wait for review comments to come in, and then we will put it on the telechat. So probably not November 20th, but probably maybe the one after that.
Anything you want to add, Damien, as a principal author?
Yeah, I've resolved all the comments that I'm aware of. There was some comments from IA that I couldn't push a new draft, but I'll wait until the submission reopens and then I can push a new draft. But I addressed all the comments of Tara's that I agreed with.
So submission windows open again. You just got the DEs have come back and said they agree with your IANA requests. So that's good too. You can choose to push that update now, or you can wait until, I haven't looked to see what other reviews are outstanding. You might, I don't know whether you want to wait or not. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think.
Matters not to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to wait till. I mean, the end of the last call is the 11th, so it's fine to wait till that to see if we get any other comments to process.
Yeah, if it looks like there's reviews that are likely to be, can I say this out loud? Good reviews. We may wait a little bit just to make sure we get as many good reviews as we can, because it just makes the specification better in the end. But yeah, I think we're getting close.
Fantastic. Anything
Step
else on
closer
this?
to the mic, please.
Oh,
Release your inner Katy Perry.
all right. We currently have 3 adopted drafts that are still within our control scope. Is Panos in the room? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so MLChem Hybrid sort of is the companion to SNTRU Prime. And it is currently in working group last call. I think we closed working group last call a few days from now because we wanted to have it be ahead and during the meeting. Let me check.
I think it's the end of this week anyway.
Yeah. And this document, I think the IANA part is figured out that it should be a should, but that leaves a question dangling, which is whether it should be informational or standards track. I think some in the room have argued that both documents should be treated the same in regard to the track and the IANA recommendation. And some people have argued that they are separate matters. So I think it would be, if people have opinions on this, please share them.
So my recollection is that I think the only comments we got on the last call, the working group last call so far, were along the lines of make them the same. The authors have said they have no issue with that. So I guess that's what seems to be the consensus. Modulo everything blowing up tonight or tomorrow or something.
Which would be informational.
The consensus seems to be for informational. Yeah. And so we'll ask the authors to do that unless the working group tells us to do something else.
I'm not going to the queue. So Deb Cooley again, can you look and see, because there was some discussion, Simon wanted them to change the chem the chem combiner, and I think that's not.
You're right. I think
There's
Simon,
no-
yeah. I think Simon made
Simon
that
asked for it and Panos said no.
and I didn't see any other support for it either. So
Right. I think
so,
that's
yeah.
I think that's correct. I think making it informational and leaving the combiner the way that it was is fine.
That's my understanding of what the working group wants at this point. So if anybody wants to speak to that, go right ahead. Otherwise, we'll ask the authors to make that change and hand off to the draft to a better place. This is the new name for ISG processing.
Then we have Cha-Cha 20 Poly 1305. Damien, since I saw you in the room, can you maybe share a brief update on where the document is and whether there are outstanding to-do items or whether we should initiate working group last call?
I think Simon's been driving that mostly. I'm not aware of any outstanding comments on that. I would support it going to last call.
So if anybody has comments on this, how many people have read this draft? We have 4. Okay, and it's again, it should be a non-controversial thing. So, I guess we'll start a working group last call for this soon. Yeah, we'll see what else happens with other drafts. But I guess we can tee it. Should we tee this one up next, Damien and Stuart?
I think so. I think well, in terms of getting things done, that makes sense to do that one next because there's no further work that I'm aware of needed on it. Whereas strict kex, I know needs some further work.
Okay, so I think there's for the note takers, there's an action on the chairs to kick off our last working group last call of that after everybody's gotten home, I guess. Deb.
Just a pointer to the chairs because of the tooling changes.
Oh, yes.
Issue your working group last call from the data tracker button,
okay.
right? I think you should be able to change the message. You should be able to change the length of the call. You should be able to do that, but you cannot not do it that way. So to avoid having dose messages.
Tara, go to the mic.
You have an update?
Tero Kiven, I think the changes to be actually able to change the text is still in the testing phase.
Yes.
Yes, I think so. So yes, you can change the date if you say how many weeks it's going to be and so on. But I mean, it might also be worth of I think they're going to be coming out very soon. But I mean, I think or at least verify what is the current state of the before you go.
And
I mean, this is sausage making, right? So you just use the button in the data tracker to do it and see what you can do. But I think you should be able to make the date longer. Like if you wanted to make it a 3-week call because we're like in the middle of an IETF meeting, you could probably do that.
And I would like to emphasize that the chairs consistently use the data tracker. We're not barbarians.
I am happy to hear that. But I just want to avoid having things fall into bad places. So.
Thanks, Ed. So and if we press the buttons wrong, you might see 2 mails about working group last call. But I think people will survive it anyway. So we'll do that in a week or so. Great.
Okay. The third draft is strict key exchange. The latest is that Ayana gave some feedback on the draft. Yeah, Damien, what is can you update us on strict kex?
I'm not aware of any IANA feedback on that. I am aware that my description of the motivating Terrapin attack is incomplete. Fabian Balmer and the other researchers reached out a little while ago mentioning that they've found additional situations in which that their underlying technique applies. So I need to update and that more implementations should use strict kex than the text in there currently recommends. I think it recommends it for implementations that use Cha-Cha Poly, but I think their work indicates that guidance should be more broad. So I have to dig into that and update the text.
So you do have a message from Sabrina from IANA on the 30th of October for early review. No, there was 2 together. You got one for the agent draft, and you also got one for this draft as well.
This is
I mean, it's fine. You can go take a peek.
This is what happens when when I don't read every word in an email and just assume.
I know,
that
right? It happens to me all the time. Let me just tell you. So just take a peek and see what you. It may
So
or may
I
not
see-
be action to
Yeah.
you.
I see
It's
one
from
from
Sabrina.
Sabrina.
Yeah,
I see one from Sabrina about SSH agent. And I
Earlier.
see one from David Dong about SSH agent.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the DEs came back and said that they were good with the agent
Yeah.
draft. And then there wouldn't be just a touch earlier than that from Sabrina about the strict checks.
Yeah, so
I can re-forward it to you if you want me to.
yeah, I have it here. Basically, it says, please add an entry in the OK to implement field.
Yeah. It's not much.
That's all. I think.
We just have to make sure he sees it. Maybe we'll re-forward it, Damien. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it now. I will.
Okay, cool.
I'll
I mean,
discuss
there's
it.
only just a bajillion messages, so.
Bajillion and one.
So Ayanna wants OK to implement values, which I think is the working group needs to decide on, is this should or must for strict checks.
I think that's going to fall out from what Damien's looking at now.
Bob, he can't hear you. So Bob didn't go to the mic, but said he thinks that the should versus must decision will fall out from the text changes that Damien's going to make in any case. So strict checks, yeah, I don't even know what's. Yeah. Okay. So Damien, you're going to do some edits to that. Do you need help? Do you need more reviews? What kind of time?
Yeah, I will endeavour to do so after this meeting, probably in a week or so. I'll send it to the mailing list will get pinged when I upload a new draft, and I would appreciate some feedback.
So how many people have read that draft? Just out of curiosity. About the same set of people. So if you have comments, please do send them to the list to help Damien. So if you can do that in the next week or so, that'll help him and help us all. Oh, it was about 4.
4's better than 0.
Yeah, and if anybody remote wants to admit to having read drafts, that's fine too. Just put it in the chat.
All right, we will move onwards to drafts related to this working group, but not adopted by this working group. And I separated them out in 3 arbitrary categories. Category 1 seems not Cypher specific. Well, Damien, the first 2 entries relate to your work, so maybe you want to share a brief update?
I've not received, I don't recall receiving any feedback on the host key update draft. So I guess the first step would be if people have read that, indicate their pleasure or lack thereof, would be useful. I think the SSH cert draft. I've had a little bit of feedback. I presented on it a couple of IETFs ago, but I haven't received a whole lot of feedback on the document. So again, some sort of focused. If I think both of these are ready, but I also am aware that I don't feel that they've been tested as well as they perhaps could have. So, well, when I say I feel they're ready, I feel that I've done everything that I can without feedback from others.
So does that sound like you'd kind of ask us to do a call for adoption on those, let's say, whenever we move the strict checks along?
Yes, please.
Okay, so a rough plan would be to issue calls for adoption for these 2. I think formally we want you to send us a mail at some point asking for that, don't we? That's Job's preference.
We will click on the data tracker.
And then we'll do calls for adoption for those 2 once the strict checks kind of bumps along a step. Anybody else have comments on the host key update or SSH cert drafts that they would like to bring up right now? remote people are more than welcome to join the queue. Not seeing anything. Okay. So again, once strict text bumps along to the next bit, we'll do calls for adoption for these.
Is Mr. Goodman in the room with us? No, I cannot sense him.
Yeah.
Does anybody else know much about the pre-authentication concept? To me, I'm not familiar with the idea in this draft.
I'm not speaking for the draft, just as my reading of it was
Okay.
that it's
And your name
basic.
is?
Sorry,
Your name is what?
Bob Beck.
Thank you.
Open, I guess for many things.
Yes.
OpenBSD, OpenSSH, whatever. It's proof of work before connection. But I would, looking at the draft, it's an interesting idea, but I question whether it's in the spec of the current charter of documenting the things that exist today as opposed to things we want to add later.
Okay, so this might be on the innovative side rather than documenting an existing deployed practice. Yeah, okay. Thank you for contextualizing that. At the last IETF meeting, Florian gave an update on the file transfer protocol. And then I think Tero volunteered to document the other flavor of the file transfer protocol. Have you made progress with that, Tero? No progress. No gold star for you.
He's taking our notes though, so we give him a half star.
Okay. Okay. Then that one is a little bit. Then both flavors of that are parked for a little bit.
Did you want to go to the mic, Bob?
Is the intention to put both flavors in one draft and tie them to a mutual fate for having everything finished, or should it be a draft per flavor?
I think the idea was to do a draft per flavor because they are not mutually exclusive. And both flavors appear deployed in some fashion.
Sorry, I'll take it. What flavors are we talking about?
So there is two different file export versions. Was it 3 and 6, I think? And the version number of the drafts are of course completely different. And I think I would prefer to actually them to be in one draft because they are so much overlapping. I mean, the version 6 has a little bit of extra things, extensions to the previous one, and so documenting them as two different drafts. I mean, and to be able to implement version 6, you actually have to implement version 3 also, the older version also, because most of the stuff is still same. So I think it's going to be quite a lot of work to copy that draft and document it. And then we have a problem that now we are documenting same things twice. So the exactly same thing that is working for V3 and V6 are now documented in two different documents, and if they are different, so that's why I think it would be better to have one document that actually has an annex or appendix that says okay, or two parts. This is for version 3, and these are extensions to make it version 6, and only the changes are listed in there or something like that. And if you are going to be implementing version 3, you just ignore the version 6 part.
Rich Sauls, I had memory that we actually came to a consensus last time, and if we look at the 123 minutes, I wonder if Job gets a gold star because he cleared the IPR around the V6 document, or no gold star.
I cleared the IPR around the older version.
Okay, so at any rate, we did just a history lesson, we decided to do 2 documents. If we want to revisit that, of course we can. And Tara was gracious in saying, yeah, that's what, we decided to do. Okay, fine. So that's all.
But it sounds like the version 6 document can just list the differences with the version 3 document. It seemed to me there was some appetite to document file transfer, but also there was significant reluctance to implement version 6. So having them not share fate might unblock them both. And I guess if in the midst of time this were following a publication process as these protocols were invented, you'd naturally have a RFC for the older version versus version 6.
So just as a question, does any of the authors of the spaghetti draft near me?
Yeah.
How, if we were documenting them separately, how close to complete would be this draft? How much more work to do?
I would have to ask Florian.
Okay. So this is kind of ongoing work. We need to. So Tara, do you think that the V6 stuff is something you'll be able to look at in the near future, distant future, aspirational?
Tara, I didn't put myself on queue because I'm writing the notes. But anyway, so yes, the reason I haven't done anything because I didn't actually remember it all completely at all. So if somebody sends me a reminder in 3 weeks, then I can do it. The problem is that next week I'm going to be in Bangkok in IEEE, which means that I'm going to be completely forget everything that I did here. It's the same thing, goes on with, all of this, in July also, there's an IETF and IEEE meeting at the same time. So I'm going to be so much, messed up with all of these things that I need a reminder. But yes, I can do that. And if I remember correctly, when I read the file extras, I think it actually needs some cleanup I mean, there is like there was like things like some of the identifier, I think it was using, for example, like the field names were actually not very well made. They are like I remember that they were actually fixed in that's why I was actually saying that one of the things for version 6, for example, did they say instead of saying this is the ID, they say this is the something like a more descriptive field of the same thing, exactly same place, but it's more descriptive because it actually tells you what it is. And that's why I messed up earlier when I was thinking about what are the differences, because I didn't find that because it was named so badly that I couldn't understand it in version 3 when I was searching it.
Okay. All right. So I think the outcome there, I think, is that the action is on the chairs to poke Tero and Florian, I guess, in give them a nice Christmas present of a file transfer poke for December-ish.
Great.
Okay.
Then we have the Simon category of drafts.
I don't see Simon.
He's idle in the chat room.
Simon is in the Zulip room, so
Yeah.
but not on audio.
Yeah, I don't feel qualified to give much of an update on these 3.
I guess we can at least say, these are not documenting existing practice. They'll probably, be attractive or raise hackles variously. So I think these are not ones to process in the proximate future. But I guess it's, if people want to talk about them on the list and are interested in them, and it doesn't turn into a big distraction, that's fine. But I think we don't have a plan to issue calls for adoption for these because of our current charter.
Oh, Damien, you would like to say something?
Yeah, look, I guess there's, it's always risky trying to speak for other people, but I think there is some appetite for a post-quantum signature scheme in SSH. But I also think it makes sense for to see where the dust settles in other working groups on post-quantum signature hybrid signature schemes and combiners. I know that LAMPS seems to be reaching consensus on one, and I kind of want to see what the result of that is before deciding which way to go with signatures in SSH.
Deirdre?
I do support an adoption call for SSH MLDSA, the MLDSA on its own. We can, no problem if we want to support hybrids and MLDSA on its own, but it's definitely simple. So I support an adoption call for that.
So our charter kind of limits us in terms of innovating, and the whole signature thing is probably an innovation thing, but it might be one where there is actually a sort of broad agreement amongst implementers that they want to do something. But the charter calls us for us to only be working on stuff where there's broad or widespread agreement. I forget exactly the phrase. Scott?
Okay. The question came up, what is LAMPS doing? Well, for LAMPS, MLDSA Pure is an RFC 8991. It's shipped, it's out there, and we have the various hybrid or composite signatures are in working are in the IESG process right now.
So Deb Cooley's sort of maybe halfway with my AD hat off. From a LAMPS point of view, I am holding the LAMPS composite signature draft. So I've not yet started a review of it. It's 200 pages long. We'll see how long that takes. I hear most of it's test vectors. I don't know. Anyway, that's mine. From an SSH point of view, you use signatures for authentication primarily, but apparently people also use them for other things. Is that correct?
Server authentication, user authentication, and there's a draft somewhere on the list about using it for other things, like Git signatures.
Like what kind of signatures? Oh, Git signatures. It's not is like you're signing the contents of a Git repo, or you're authenticating into Git?
The former, signing Git commits and Git pushes.
Okay, so it's complicated, right? If it was very simply just authentication, I think the answer would be easier. If people tend to use these keys, which they already have in their hands for other things, it makes it more complicated in terms of, is it just a live real-time connection, and once it's done, we're out? Because once you're authenticated, you're in, right? Or whether you're using it to sign things that are perhaps a little longer lived. I really think I struggle with the choice of using a hybrid signature or perhaps multiple signatures, which you could always do, right? Or just a single signature because it's an authentication. If it's authentication, and Daniel's in the queue too. If it's just authentication, I would argue you could wait. So if Daniel DKG wants to comment.
Daniel,
Hi there. Yeah, I'm just realizing that I actually don't know how the SSH signatures are domain separated from the use of SSH keys, the use of the same SSH key in an SSH handshake, authentication handshake. Um, Job, you just put a link to Simon's draft there, and I will be happy to read that in more detail. But if somebody has a pointer to the specific way that they're domain separated, I would appreciate a pointer. If they're not separated, that's an additional concern that maybe we want to think about.
They are definitely domain separated.
Okay, great. I'll read that draft more closely. Thank you.
So would it be fair to say it sounds like the topic of any new signature type things and whether there is broad implementer interest is like a thing for thinking about in the new year-ish? Does anybody think that's a crazy thing, or it has to be done much sooner? Or I can ask the poll question, is this a crazy thing? Great.
So in figuring out what are related drafts, I searched for -SSH- and -SSHM-, but not for -SSH-SIG. So that's why the SSH signature format draft is not on this slide.
No, okay, I ignore the typo. So the question is, should we, is looking at signatures in the new year to see if there's broad implementer interest in doing something a crazy thing or not?
What is that?
Can I read it? You actually have to type the whole thing on one line. It's
I need to type it. So what?
It'll be in the. So that, I mean, I think because our charter calls for working on things where there's broad implementer interest. So I think that's the first place to start is, do people want to do something? Tero.
And I assume that in New Year, you mean that we would start like in January working on those or something like that?
We have to start a discussion where we try.
I mean, yeah, there's in the new year exactly, or after that, or so you mean that we want to finish our stuff first, current stuff first, and then start moving that. New York, you were saying New York would be the good place to start. Just trying to understand what you're trying to say.
I mean, I'd be surprised if we had finished the file transfer stuff before we start this discussion, but okay. So again, that looks like there's 14 yes, or not 14 saying not crazy. So the action on the chairs is to start a not crazy discussion in the new year. Okay. About signatures. Thank you. Terminate the show of hands.
These are other related drafts that popped up with the regular expression. What is the difference between draft 2 and 3?
Sorry, 2 and 3 what?
Item 2 and 3 on this MLDSA.
The sole difference between them is they use slightly different code points. My draft does the SSH-ML DSA, and the other draft just does ML DSA. That is the only difference.
I'm still a little bit confused.
Well, we don't need to decide now because if we've agreed to have a chat about signatures in the future, that can be part of that chat. I guess the CNSA one we don't They won't want it to be adopted. They probably go to the independent stream these days, I guess. So that's not necessarily something we need to do. Yeah. And with composite SIGs, we already figured out, we have a plan for signatures, so that'll pop into that plan. So I guess the MLChem pure one, I'd be surprised if that kind of got over the bar for broad implementer interest, but if it was the case, then it'll be good to know. So, okay, so you know, top of this list, the CNSA one, that'll go to the ISE. The other ones are signatures. The one on the bottom, I mean, there's clearly some people would like it, but it's not clear to me that it's likely to get this broad, jump over the hurdle of broad implementer interest. If I'm wrong, please do correct me.
What's the first one? Sorry, just
The top of this list, that's the CNSA. That's their intention will be to go to the ISE, not to the working group, as far as we understand. Rebecca.
Hi, I just want to say that that's correct. The plan is to go through the ISE. However, if anyone's interested in reviewing the document, we'd be happy to look at comments. So feel free to do that, share on whatever mailing list.
Thank you. Elliot, the ISE speaks.
This is Elliot. What she said, I would very much like reviews for these documents. And all is welcome. Send the email to rfc-ice@rfc-editor.org. I very much welcome your reviews.
And is the ISE a better place?
It focuses on levity, right?
Okay.
I then think we have arrived at the any other business section of our meeting.
So that concludes the list of things we think are in work or coming. And we're at any other business, as Job says. So do you have any other business? Not seeing anything. Thanks to the note takers. Thanks to everybody for smoothly setting a plan for various things. And thanks, Deb, for processing things in a better place. And I think with that, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you at IETF 125 in China. Or online.
Thanks, Damien. I presume it's an awkward time of day for you, and thanks for being here.
It is not any time of day. See ya.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Okay, cool. We should ask people if they actually want to meet in Shenzhen. Not now, but also in the new year, just to see if there's.
Yeah. Are you going?
No. Not planning.
Just kind of planning to go.
I can tidy up since you did the slides, I can tidy up the notes.
Okay. That's kind of you.
It's a fair trade. All right, that's my last presenting chairing thing for the week.
I have grow at 5. And I'm done.